Welcome back to How to Tickle Yourself. I'm your host, Duff McDonald, along with my co-host, Joey of Rockledge.
Hello.
In every episode of this show, we and our guests try to seek out and grab hold of the tickle of our true selves. By sharing stories about the great things in life, we hope to point the way to the goal of all goals, the source of infinite bliss, the supreme reality itself. Maybe we'll find it someday. In the meantime, we hope, at the very least, to inform and entertain with conversations that hover at ratings approaching 100%. At How to Tickle Yourself, our interviews taste as good as a great batch of home-brewed kombucha. All of which brings us to today's guest, Mr. Wayne Magri Xuereb of Gozo, Malta. For those of you not in the know, Malta is an archipelago in the central Mediterranean between Sicily and the North African coast. It's got a total population of just over 500,000 people. It's also got Your Kombucha, Wayne's brewery. We love anyone who brews kombucha here at How to Tickle Yourself. But Wayne didn't stop there. He's also a kombucha educator and founded something called the SCOBY School, through which he gives workshops and classes, teaching people how to brew themselves while also showing how kombucha can be a gateway to our true selves. A quick caveat here. We have not tasted Wayne's kombucha. It's a long way to Malta from Rockledge, but he makes delightful sounding flavors, including hibiscus, ginger, pomegranate, and something he calls clear green. So we're just going to assume that they taste great until further notice. He sells it in more than 24 locations across Gozo and Malta proper, so he's probably doing something right. Wayne discovered kombucha during the COVID pandemic, and it was love at first sip. He's come quite a long way since then, but there's more to it. His grandmother, his mother's mother, used to brew kombucha in her kitchen at the age of 7. So it's a family thing. Actually, kombucha is a worldwide family, and we are happy to introduce you to our newest sibling, Wayne. Welcome to the show, Wayne. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
At the present moment, traveling town to town, the mystery of the motion, right here, right now, right here, right now, whoa, right here, right now.
So I just started. At the tail end of that. There, I gave a bit of your story, but tell us. Let's just dive right in because our topic is kombucha. What happened? COVID was only 3 years ago, and you now have a brewery and you teach courses to people about how to make
Yes.
it. How did it all come together so fast?
And you said the perfect word, so fast, because first of all, it's a really big adventure, you know, and I think it started off during COVID. You know, I just really wanted some change in my life, you know. And I just, you know, I was in a time where I just really wanted to change from what I was previously doing. And funny enough, a friend here was selling kombucha, and lots of people, I think, were brewing, you know, but he kind of like, we met very spontaneously, and he told me, let me give you a starter, you know. I was really excited, you know, with my starter, you know. I went home and I brewed my first batch, you know.
Mhm.
I remember, you know, the first time I tasted, I was like, you know, I was like, oh, like I had this feeling like, oh, I found it, you know, and it was really kind of like, really, I always say it. It was really love at first sip. And from there, at that time, I used to host guests. And like, I used to, like, let me show you guys, let me show you what I have here. And everyone used to be like, oh, this is so good, why don't you start selling it? And I was like, this would be a great idea, And then I started to give to my friends. Then there was my neighbor who used to really like kombucha. And from there, it started growing, and at that time I was running like a bit of an operation in my apartment, and it started to grow, and then afterwards I moved into kind of like my own space, and from there I started to give workshops, and I think that's where I started to really learn about kombucha and really going going really deep, like going really deep and realizing, what I still think it's a mysterious thing and which I'm constantly learning. But I think that's where it started to really evolve. And then I also did some TV presentations where I got to talk about kombucha, and it's been going great, And
So you and I talked like a month or so ago, and you said a few things about kombucha that rang very familiar for me, but which the man on the street is probably not familiar with. The ideas of what it means and what it can do to your life. So why don't we get to the good stuff? What is this? What are we making? What are you teaching people how to make, and what are you giving them when you teach them how to make it?
I like to teach people. I like to offer. First of all, I've always been into transformation, and like I really believe from like really the depths that kombucha can be a really great catalyst for change. When you start drinking kombucha, it's like, first of all, it's something alive, And when we start drinking kombucha, I really feel that something starts changing, you start gravitating towards more healthy choices in life, but I think what I am really doing with my workshops is offering a different perspective of what kombucha is, I try to point out to people that it's not just, like a beverage and that's it, it's something that we can co-live with, I like to see kombucha as a living thing. And this has been something which, even in my own exploration, I think kombucha is I think there's an intelligence going on, There's an intelligence. If we really see kombucha, like, for example, the fact that you, for example, out of SCOBY, you can create clothes, for example, out of SCOBY, there are so many uses. Like, for example, with the vinegar, you can do so many things. Also, they're doing building blocks, for example, But I think it's deeper than that. I think it's a matter of time till we discover kind of like so many other uses, so many other applications of this. And this is what I like to offer to the people, that there's more to it than just a jar at home, there's more. And with this also, I kind of like offer to the people that there might be even more to everything, not just to kombucha.
I love what you're saying. It reminds me a little bit of the, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Findhorn community in Scotland. They have these kind of crazy, amazing gardens growing where people said they couldn't really grow gardens. And the way they've been successful is they said that they have been communing with the divine intelligence that's in each plant. and that each plant has something to teach and offer them. And It was funny you were talking about with the SCOBY and with kombucha, it's like it's transformative, right? And so I think that sort of spirit and essence that is in kombucha, like it's deva, it's a sort of its divinity or its spirit.
Yes.
Is about transformation and teaching and about harmony, right? Because you've got two sort of things working together to create something even more beautiful. So I think you're spot on that it is about transformation and that it's got something to teach us. I think that's the gift, right? So how do we tell the world about this?
Well, wait, Wayne has a plan.
Okay.
It's not Kombucha Nation. What did you call it?
Oh, that's a very good one. I like to, because for me, for example, first of all, I like, a lot of people misunderstood me, when it comes to this, but I like to call this Kombucha land.
Kombucha land.
Yeah.
Kombucha land.
Yeah.
And the way I see it is that most of the time when we are operating out of our head, we don't see the full picture, And the way I see it is that when we operate out of our gut, out of our intuition, instinct, and the heart, we're actually operating out of kombucha land.
That's awesome.
And the funny part is that actually it's not really funny. It's more like, when we start to really transform from within, we kind of like change the outside, What I came to realize is that sometimes also, for example, the outside, could change the inside as well. So what I am proposing is that I like to see kombucha as kind of like, it's kind of like a gateway to ourself, because there's no difference between us and kombucha, nature, and we are nature. So it's like, this is where they intertwine, and this is just it's a way, kind of like yoga, kind of like meditation. Yeah, I think that's the main reason why people like kombucha so much.
It's like the spiritual gateway drug. It opens everything up for people.
It's the gateway spiritual drink. What? So wait.
Yes.
But I don't like to see it like I don't like to say the word spiritual. I think it's more of a.
We'll say it for you. What we like to say it.
Okay, that's fine. I like to see it as a wholesome, maybe wholesome. We can use the word wholesome.
Okay, that's good. What about
harmony? It's harmony.
What about so one thing, I just did this piece on Audible called Kombucha Curious, and a handful of people that I know have started making it since then. And it was so thrilling to me to get messages from like 4 or 5 people that listening to me talk about it had made them start making it. So you actually teach classes, and from the looks of your Instagram, they're well attended. What can you tell us what happens to people during those classes?
First of all, I really have a blast with these classes. I really enjoy it. Like from all the things that I do, the classes, I just enjoy it. Sometimes, for example, it doesn't matter how many people I have. I really enjoy it. And what happens is like it's like, I take the people obviously through the whole process of brewing kombucha, what utensils they need, what ingredients they need, how to avoid certain things and so on. But really, what really I like to promote is like that it's kind of like that actually the brewing, the whole brewing process is actually like a fun activity, you know? And I like to share with people that it's also like, not just, you're not just creating something and which is very useful and very good for our health and so on, but it's also like the actual brewing process is quite relaxing, I also feel is very, very, but this is something that I have to, from my end, I feel is very therapeutic, when the actual process of brewing kombucha is actually quite, it's a time to, I like to see it as a time to be yourself, where you can just be yourself, in the kitchen.
It's the meditation of yoga or
yes,
kombucha.
Yes, it's like, you go, I like to, people are having so much like busy lifestyles, and I like to tell them, look, guys, this is something, that, you're kind of like creating your own food, creating your own beverage. And then it's also a time to just, switch off everything. You're by yourself in the kitchen, a bit of time off. Also like I like to share that. But I think also in the workshop, lots of things happen, but mostly I like to, people ask a lot of questions. So I like to answer those. But yeah, it's like kind of like sometimes it gets kind of like a bit of a kombucha party, I like to tell them, the kombucha bar is open, and I think everyone likes that part. So yeah.
So here's an idea for you. I wrote about this in Tickled, and I also talked about it in my Audible piece. One of the things that I realized in making kombucha was, normally in day-to-day life, if you're outside of a hobby, if you're just sort of going through your day, going to the store, doing a thing, turning on the TV, you have a bunch of options and you make a choice, right? So if you go to the store and you're buying some stuff, you look at what's available and you pick the one you want. So you go from all the possibilities to the choice in an instant, because you have to make a decision typically in a normal, daytime experience. If you turn on the TV, right, you can't sit there wondering what you might watch for an hour, because that's no fun. You want to look through the stuff and say, let's watch this. But the realm of possibility, in my opinion, is a much bigger and more powerful place to spend time than we normally think or that we're aware of. And what kombucha did for me is, once we started making enough, we were constantly wondering about what the next flavor we would make was going to be. So it shifted me, I think, and Joey, I think you too, from a place where we spend a lot of time making choices, and it shifted me into the realm of possibility. And I started hanging out in that place more than I had before. And then, and here's the kicker, I think that then led to me seeing possibilities in other parts of my life outside of kombucha, because I was residing in that place.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
Yes, and it's exactly what like, the whole process is kind of like a microcosm of the macrocosm. Meaning, like, for example, there's a lot that kombucha teaches us, like, for example, one of the things that for me was a big game changer was like consistently brewing week after week, and when I take this principle, for example, into other areas of my life, it's the same thing. Like, for example, Bruce Lee said, I don't fear the man who does 1,000 kicks in a day. I fear the man who does one kick for 1,000 days. And that's the same principle. and that's the same principle with kombucha, I'm like, there was a time when I was just really committed and like, whatever it is, I'm just gonna brew each and every week. And what I came to realize is that through whatever it is, even if you, how am I going to say this? Even if you don't intend to improve, you will still improve. You know?
Right.
So it's the same. It's the same. And I think it's also like for you, like saying with regards to the possibilities, 100% for sure it happened, you know, because when you, it's like the whole thing is it's life itself, you know, it's life. And but sometimes we just need a bit of an eye to see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Joey, would you say that that's the same as gardening for you?
It is. It's just sort of it. You mentioned how it's sort of it's your time alone, and it's your time to kind of just be yourself, and that's what gardening does for me. It's like, and it also it might sound kind of crazy, but it makes me think about the nature of the universe and what's actually going on here. And so it's like something that seems sort of mundane and everyday is like it takes on a very it's not just a little thing. It's sort of, it's everything. It's life, right? And it changes the way I see my day to day and the way I see everything. So yeah, I think gardening definitely does that for me.
And it's not crazy at all. I think it's super beautiful what you just said, because it's kind of like, you know, every little thing that we have, we're really having a relation. It's kind of like everything reflects our relationship we have with ourselves, you know? And for me, it was kombucha, you know, for others, maybe for you, it was gardening, you know, for others, but the same principles apply all across, you know. I think it can, for many people, it can be a great kombucha can be a great teacher, you know, just as much as gardening.
I think so too. I think it's one of the things that sort of our modern day man is probably missing, right? Is that time to slow down and time to kind of be still and do something simple. And when you do that, I think that's kind of, it sparks you in a different way and inspires you in a different way than like your iPhone or your computer.
Yes.
Although that being said, yeah, agreed. However, Wayne is in Malta. We know each other because of the internet. So used properly.
Yes, that's true.
The internet's a force for good.
No, I'm not saying it's not a great tool. I just think it's like anything, moderation.
Tell us about Clear Green. I want to know what this is.
How funny. A lot of people ask me this. And it's not such a popular flavor, but it's also, from my opinion, I love it. You know, it's just a base of green tea. You know, I just left it like that. You know, without any
Very
flavoring.
nice.
But to be really honest with you guys, I really love unflavored kombucha. I mean, I don't mind flavored kombucha, but I've always loved kombucha just for the sake of kombucha. Like at the moment, I'm drinking an original.
Okay.
Can I see the label? Your labels are beautiful.
It's a blend of green and black tea. That's what I do.
We call that the mother. We call it the mother flavor. But yours is green, so that's green mother, right? Joey, you can see his labels on his site.
I know who makes them for you or who designs them.
Did you design those? You designed your own labels, right?
No, these labels, no. Maybe in the future.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Joey, just go to the site. You can see it. yourkombucha.com.mt. Although when we spoke, you talked about how you've started making art recently, and you see it as connected to the kombucha as well. How's that?
Yes, this is really new. Kind of like I see. Kind of like kombucha first of all, it's a living thing, you know. I think it has a kind of like an essence. I don't like to say a personality because that would be too much of too much out there. But definitely it has a bit of a character, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way kombucha works, I think the intelligence is this is from my own observation, of course. I like to, like, for example, kombucha, what it does is kind of like uses us humans as her kind of like instruments, So some people, for example, brew kombucha and distribute it, Other people are like scientists, they go and explore the bacteria, and the yeast, and everything. Others are, for example, educators, Others are musicians, They create music for kombucha. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that. There's this guy who created this Italian from Italy. He created a song. It was for kombucha. It's named Estofungo. Yes. I'll send it to you. It's really, and it was like, I think, in 1970s.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Estofungo cinese means this Chinese mushroom.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and at the same time, as money, as I was saying, I also think that there's more to discover, but I think it's like, for example, I think there's a lot of potential for art, with kombucha that can be discovered. Like, for example, certain drawings or illustrations which are inspired from the kombucha culture. And this is what I've been exploring in the last couple of weeks. I've done a course. It was a 2-month course, which was very, very, very interesting. I kind of like really explored my my relationship to art, And from there, I started to draw, and it's been taking me quite on a journey. Yeah, I've been exploring something I like. I think. I don't know if there are others around the world who've done this, but it's kombucha art.
Well,
Wow.
I just did how long is the thing, Joey? 3 hours or 2 hours?
3 hour. It's 3 hours.
My Audible piece is 3 hours of meditation on kombucha. So my own version of art, writing and then narrating it, same thing. I'm with you. I believe there are ways that you can spend your time thinking about kombucha that don't involve brewing or drinking it. You can take it even farther afield, right?
Yes, and I think it's also, have you ever heard there's this saying, people can only meet you as deeply as you've met yourself. I think this is the same with kombucha. I think there's more to it, but it's a matter of us going deeper inside ourselves to be able to commune with it.
Well, maybe we need to get the master brewer of Malta over to Rockledge to teach a kombucha course.
For sure.
I'll come. Why not?
Okay, so flavors. What's your favorite flavor? Whether it's your own or someone else's. What's the best one you've ever had?
The best one that I've ever had. I really, really like the pomegranate one, because that's in season, and it's also like fresh pomegranate from our land, here in Gozo. I think that's the one that I really like, and that's only available for just a month.
We do that here too. We try to make seasonal stuff, but Joey, pomegranate, we've never tried that. We
haven't tried it. No, we've done a guava. We have, I think guava is one of the current favorite. Oh, this is cranberry guava.
Nice.
Because it makes it does something with the effervescence. It's like it's more champagne-y, I guess. I don't know. It's like but it's something specific to the guava that's pretty amazing. But we're trying to do all the berries that we use. We're trying to grow them here. So we'll see how that goes this year.
And what's the competition? You got competition there in Gozo?
Kind of. There are other brewers who have their own little brewery, but it's not yet that, not that really, not really that big here in Malta and Gozo. But it's funny, even though Gozo is smaller than Malta, I feel it's more popular here in Gozo. It was much more met here, in Gozo. I could be maybe because I think there's a bit more like conscious people living here on Gozo. It's more of I see it like Gozo is more, there's more people who are conscious with healthy living and so on, But then at the same time, it's still not something completely new. A lot of people told me that in the 1990s there was a big like kombucha was gaining a lot of popularity, and then I think there was a bit of a scare from I don't know, something happened, and people were
that was the
kind
same
of
here.
Scared to continue brewing. Like they were saying, it's like, oh, this is creating illnesses and so on, and people buy into that. I think that this happened in many places across the world, unfortunately.
Yeah, it did. I remember back in the 90s, it happened with my mom. She was brewing her own, and then she got kind of scared of it and stopped for a while. But your grandmother was brewing it. So it was it, that was part of the community back then, or was she just...
No, my grandmother, funny enough, was really into like health, like eating healthy. I remember my grandmother and my mother used to go to this nutritionist, and they, at that time, they people used to think, they used to tell her, that woman is of the devil, like, because she was so concerned with health and all of this. They used to take, for example, turmeric pills, for example.
Oh yeah. They're ahead of their time.
and seaweed. I remember seaweed. The fridge was filled with seaweed, and they used to brew kombucha as well. I remember the smell, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it good. That was completely vinegar. I don't know how they used to drink it, but yeah. But that's. I remember when I was 7. I remember it clearly. I remember opening the fridge. They used to see this bottle, as a curious child, I was like, what is this? And she told me that's kombucha.
Oh, it's when you were 7, not when she was 7.
When I was 7.
When you were 7. Still a long time ago.
Still a long time ago. We're talking 1997 or 1998.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, running short of time here, Wayne. What is what is the message that either you want to send or that you want to pass on to people on behalf of Mother Kombucha herself? What is the message of kombucha? What have you learned? What do you like from your classes and stuff? What do you think other people need to know, or what would be helpful for them to understand?
The transformation starts from within.
Mm-hmm.
Always, whatever it is, and even something so simple as drinking kombucha every day or frequently can yield big results. We can never underestimate the power of a bottle of kombucha. And just even just a glass every day can yield big changes.
Yeah.
All right. So, well said, listeners. Wayne's company is called Your Kombucha. You got to go to Malta to get it, but you can find out about it on the internet, yourkombucha.com.mt. That's M as in Mary, T as in T. And also he's on Instagram under Your Kombucha, right? Is that true? Yeah.
Yes.
Under Your Kombucha. And stay tuned to this channel because we have found, along with Hannah Crum, we have found yet another soldier in the kombucha army. And
Commando.
whether or not you know it, we are marching towards you. And yeah, we're coming for you. So and Wayne is now we're gonna make him what, Joey? A lieutenant? Should we have him be a lieutenant or a general? General.
It sounds like he's a general.
Sounds like he's a general. So thank you, Wayne, General Wayne, for joining us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on kombucha, which we think is one of the greatest things that ever happened, just like you. And if only for the fact that we got to meet you because of it, and hear the kind of enthusiasm that it generated in this house. And I think we're coming to Malta, right, Joey?
Yeah,
we're coming to Malta soon. We will see you soon. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
So that is Wayne from Malta.
General
our new kombucha
Wayne.
friend. General Wayne from Malta, our new kombucha friend.
Yeah, he's great. We should have him here. We'll do a Rockledge weekend kombucha making. Anybody that wants to learn.
Right, because he already knows how to do it. He teaches the photos of his classes look really fun. And also, Hannah Crum was the first person who spoke to me about kombucha in a way that was like, wait a second, I'm not the only one. And he is, without a doubt, he is singing from the same songbook that we are about the transformative power of this drink. Listeners, doesn't just taste good, it'll change everything. Everything. His art is he showed us some art after we just got off there, which we'll put up on the socials, but it's beautiful. The art, his kombucha inspired art is amazing.
Yep. Yeah, it's wild. I love it. It's like kombucha is his meditation, right? It's like as many paths to God as there are people. Some of them are kombucha waterways.
So, in place of a classic, I've got one for you. I wanted to read something from this book I've been reading recently called Practical Vedanta by a guy named Swami Ranganathananda, who used to run the Ramakrishna mission in India, in Calcutta, for decades. And he was talking about different kinds of science, right? So in the West, we think of science as the sort of external science that we conduct, experimentation and evidence-based and all this stuff where there's data and you can see it and manipulate it. And then the yogis talk about a higher science, the science of the self, which doesn't sacrifice any of the rigor of the things that most of us know as science, right? Repeatability, verifiability, evidence-based, experience-based. So he says here, he says, the world is kshara, the perishable, the study of which is done by aparavidya, the lower of the two sciences, right? So in what they call the manifestation here, everything is change, and the study of the world outside us is aparavidya. And then they said, he says, we also have to search for and discover the akshara, the imperishable in the perishable. That is the highest science. It's called paravidya. Right? And then he says, all the other sciences are aparavidya, ordinary science, because they seek the truths of the perishable world. But the search for the imperishable is what is called paravidya, higher science, the science of God. All have the inherent right to bring God into one's life. We are dealing with very perishable things in our day-to-day life, though, including one's own body. So the point being is Wayne referred to kombucha as wholesome, right? That what it taught him is wholesome. He's talking about the one. the whole, right? And there are things in your life that can give you a glimpse of the inherent unity of all things. And that would be leading you towards paravidya, the science of the self. And Wayne said that at the end too. He said, all transformation starts within. The greatest science of all is the science of the self. It is not physics or chemistry or bioengineering or any of that. Those are aparavidya. Those are the sciences of the perishable. The science of the immortal and the eternal, paravidya, you can get it through making kombucha. You heard it here first.
I always thought yoga was a backdoor. I always say yoga is a backdoor, like hatha yoga is a backdoor into spirituality. It turns out, I guess anything can be, right? Kombucha is anything harmonious, right? I guess can be the doorway, your entryway.
Right. And one of the reasons for that is that when we see disharmony, when you experience disharmony, that tends to be it is a flawed understanding and a flawed point of view, because there is an inherent harmony in the entire universe. It all holds together. It is all one thing. So as soon as you can get your hands and wrap your hands around and your mind around something harmonious, you're on your way. And the SCOBY, as Wayne pointed out, is, it's a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. There's a harmony at the heart of kombucha, which is a pointer to the harmony at the heart of all things. So I got another one for you. On the very same note, I know listeners have been leaving us voicemails and sending notes by carrier pigeon about wanting to hear more from Aurobindo. But yes, today we close with a quote from the great Swami Vivekananda. And this is from his complete works. It's a essay called Steps to Realization, but it's a really great passage. And it's on point with what General Magri Xuereb said to us about operating from the center. He said the gut, and then he said the heart. It's the same thing. Follow the heart. A pure heart sees beyond the intellect. It gets inspired. It knows things that reason can never know. And whenever there is conflict between the pure heart and the intellect, always side with the pure heart, even if you think what your heart is doing is unreasonable. When it is desirous of doing good to others, your brain may tell you that it is not politic to do so. But follow your heart, and you will find that you make less mistakes than by following your intellect. The pure heart is the best mirror for the reflection of truth. So all these disciplines in this essay that he was talking about are for the purification of the heart. As soon as it is pure, all truths flash upon it in a minute. All truth in the universe will manifest in your heart if you are sufficiently pure. Are you sufficiently pure, Joey?
What do you think?
Trying to be. Thank you for listening. And thank you for going to Malta with us on this little kombucha vacation. Listeners, we will be back with you when we're back with you.
You've been listening to How to Tickle Yourself with your host, Duff McDonald, and me, Joey of Rockledge. You can help us by liking, subscribing, and sharing this podcast with others. You can talk to us and see what else is happening on Instagram and Facebook at How to Tickle Yourself. This program was recorded in Studio B of the historic Rockledge Recording Studio. Right Here, Right Now, our original 16-part theme music, was written and recorded by the legendary Paul Reddick and Kyle Ferguson of the Sidemen, with Steve Mariner on bass and drums and in the mixing room. This podcast is produced and distributed by Storic Media. Our editor is Oscar Desiderio. Our producers are Kristen Verbitsky and Chuck Labella. For more information, visit storicmedia.com. That's STORIC media.com.
Moments